Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
So today we're going to be diving into this whole idea of,
The unapologetic apology, right?
yeah, the unapologetic apology.
I know.
Sounds kind of contradictory, right?
Because, yeah.
We're going to be looking at excerpts from this book
Okay.
by Letitia Robb.
Okay.
It's called The Unapologetic Apology.
Interesting.
And it's structured in this really interesting way. It's actually like a flip book
Okay.
full of all these bold statements
Interesting.
that kind of challenge us to rethink how we apologize.
Okay.
Or if we even should at all.
Interesting, yeah.
You might be surprised by some of these
Yes,
excerpts.
I bet, yeah.
But don't worry, I have an expert here to help us break it all down.
Absolutely. Excited to dive in.
So, right from the start, Rob claims that back in 2019,
Okay.
America was experiencing this decline in genuine community and connection.
Okay. So,
Does that resonate with you at all? I mean, 2019 wasn't that long ago.
yeah. No, it wasn't, but
But think about how much has changed, especially with social media.
a lot, yeah. I mean, even in just those 5 years or so,
Yeah.
things have really shifted. Yeah, it was a different world.
Right. Like everybody glued to their phones,
Yeah.
comparing themselves to all these
The curated online personas.
Right.
Right.
perfectly
Trying
correct.
to project this image of success and happiness that,
Right.
we forgot how to actually connect
With each other.
with each other on a real level.
On a real level, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And Rob uses this analogy of keeping up with the Joneses
Oh, yeah.
to illustrate this point.
Right.
You know, that feeling that
That's what
you're
Sean seems to do.
constantly trying to keep up
Yeah.
with everyone else.
Right.
Even if it means going into debt or pretending to be someone you're not.
Absolutely. It's such a perfect analogy.
It is.
It really shows how focusing on that outward validation can actually hinder your genuine connection and happiness. Like, we're all on this
Hamster wheel.
hamster wheel, yeah, chasing after something that ultimately leaves us empty.
Right. And she
Yeah.
even gives this example of a family, the Joneses,
Okay.
who seem to have it all from the outside, you know?
Right. Perfect house, perfect kids, perfect life,
Yeah.
but behind the facade, they're drowning in debt.
Right.
Totally disconnected.
And completely disconnected from each other.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever felt that pressure
Oh, yeah.
to project a certain image, even if it doesn't reflect your reality?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially, I think, in today's world.
Especially today.
It's so image-driven.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to remember
Right.
that true happiness,
It comes from
connection, authenticity, being true to yourself,
being true to yourself.
not keeping up with some
arbitrary standard.
totally.
And it seems like Rob really started to grapple with this personally, too.
Yeah.
She talks about feeling disconnected from her extended family, even shares this story about her aunt, who seemed disinterested in building a relationship with her. It sounds like she was putting in the effort, trying to reach out, but
But it wasn't reciprocated.
it wasn't being reciprocated, right?
Yeah, family dynamics can be,
Really tough.
yeah.
And it's clear that Rob was trying to create that connection.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to realize
You can't force it.
you can't force it.
It takes two
It takes two.
willing participants
Right.
to tango.
Yeah, she even mentioned how she wanted to host a family dinner at her house.
Okay.
But her aunt questioned
Oh, no.
whether it was adequate enough.
Oh, that must have stung.
Wow. Who judges a family gathering based on the size of your house?
It's a reminder that sometimes people just prioritize appearances over genuine connection.
Right.
And it also highlights how important it is to set those boundaries.
Boundaries, right.
You don't have to subject yourself to negativity or judgment, even from family.
Even from family.
Yeah.
And it sounds like these experiences, along with this growing awareness of societal pressures, really pushed Rob toward embracing unapologetic honesty.
Okay.
So what does that even mean?
Right. Unapologetic apology, is that like,
Right. Is that just a fancy way of saying
do whatever you want?
do whatever you want?
Okay.
Right.
It's not about being rude or inconsiderate,
Okay.
but it's more about recognizing that your feelings and needs are valid, even if they don't align with what's expected of you. And it's about being willing to express those feelings honestly without feeling like you have to constantly apologize
Right.
or explain yourself.
So it's less about denying responsibility
Yeah.
and more about
Owning your own experience.
owning your own experience and setting boundaries.
Exactly. It's about prioritizing your own well-being, asserting your right to have feelings and boundaries, even if others disagree.
Okay, so that makes sense. And this is where her book gets really interesting.
Okay.
she starts laying out these bold, unapologetic statements, almost like mantras.
Yeah.
One that really stood out to me was, my feelings and opinions are just that, mine.
Okay.
I'm sorry you feel yours are better than mine, and your animation will change mine. Settle down.
I love that one.
Right.
It's a direct challenge to this idea that we have to constantly validate or adjust our feelings to appease others.
Yeah.
You have a right to your own experience.
And she doesn't shy away from tougher topics either.
Okay.
She also says, I'm very sorry, but my mental health is more important to me than your feelings.
Okay, that one can definitely be
Jarring.
a little jarring, yeah, but it really highlights the importance of self-care.
Right.
You know, it's not selfish to prioritize your own well-being, especially if you're dealing with mental health challenges.
Right.
It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Okay, here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Rob starts bringing in voices from other people.
Oh, cool.
And featuring these unapologetic guest quotes throughout the book.
Interesting.
It's like she's creating this chorus of unapologetic voices.
Oh, wow.
And it's pretty powerful. For example, Kamari Barnett says, your opinion is not my truth or validity.
It's a great reminder that we don't need external validation for our experiences.
Right.
What someone else thinks about you doesn't diminish your worth or the validity of your feelings.
And then Alan McDaniel chimes in with, I refuse to go broke.
Oh.
Trying to prove I'm not broke to people who are broke.
Have you ever felt that pressure to keep up financially?
Oh, absolutely.
Even if it means stretching yourself thin?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like this unspoken competition, especially on social media.
Well, especially
where everyone's trying to portray this image of
wealth
and abundance, even if it's not real.
Yeah.
And it can be so damaging, both financially and emotionally.
All right, get ready for this one.
Okay.
Rob says, there's an expression, grow some balls.
Yeah.
Try grow a vagina.
Wow.
Balls are fragile. The vagina was built to handle more.
So what's your take on that?
It's definitely provocative.
It is.
But I think it's meant to be.
Right.
It's about, like, challenging those traditional notions of
strength
and resilience.
Yeah. Rob is pointing out that women are often expected to be more emotionally resilient than men. And she's kind of turning that
expectation on its head.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how she's using humor and wordplay to make a serious point about societal expectations and gender roles.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not your typical self-help book.
It's refreshing, honestly.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to push buttons and make people think.
Right.
And that's what makes this book so compelling.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it's like she's giving us permission
to
question those deeply ingrained
societal norms.
Yeah.
That may be holding us back from living authentically.
Exactly.
And I noticed, as I was going through the book, that another recurring theme is this idea of calling out hypocrisy.
Yes. Oh, there are so many examples of that.
And holding others accountable
yes.
for their actions.
Absolutely.
Like this one from Mickey Couvertier. She says, I'm sorry your choices make it impossible for me to hear your words.
Oh, I like that.
It's like she's saying, you know, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And if your actions don't align with your words, then I'm not obligated to listen.
Exactly. Have you ever been in that situation?
Oh, for sure.
Where someone's words just ring hollow because their actions tell a completely different story.
Yeah.
And it's like they're saying one thing but doing another.
Right.
It makes it hard to take them seriously.
Totally.
And then Miguelita Santiago puts it even more bluntly. It's not my fault that you choose to perpetuate generational mediocrity.
Wow.
That's a tough one to swallow.
It is.
But it's also a powerful reminder that we have a choice.
Right.
We don't have to repeat the mistakes of the past.
Right.
We can choose to break free from negative patterns.
Right.
Create a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.
So it's not about blaming others.
Yeah.
But it's about
taking responsibility
for your own choices and actions.
Your own choices. Exactly.
And recognizing and enabling or excusing harmful behavior.
This doesn't help anyone.
It
just perpetuates the cycle.
And it's about having the courage to speak up.
Yeah.
And hold each other accountable,
Yep.
even when it's uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And there's a real sense of empowerment in that, isn't there?
There is.
Like, you have the right to set boundaries and
Right.
protect yourself from negativity,
Yes,
even if it comes from people you care about.
People you care about.
Yeah.
Speaking of tough love, I have to share these quotes
Okay.
from Grandmaster Jay Johnson.
Okay.
He's identified as a Black Nation activist
Okay.
and a former 2016 presidential candidate.
Wow.
And he's got some strong opinions.
Yeah.
First, he says, I don't F with people that F with people that I don't F with.
That's like a loyalty oath.
Yeah, right. It's very clear where he stands.
Yeah.
You're either with him or against him. There's no
Yeah.
middle ground.
Exactly.
And then he has this other quote that's super specific. I'm not about to compromise my racial esteem
Wow.
to appease your racial guilt.
That one hits hard.
Yeah.
It speaks to the experience of being a Black person in a society where you're often expected to make white people feel comfortable.
Right.
Even if it means minimizing or denying your own experiences.
It's like he's saying, I'm not here to manage your guilt or discomfort.
Exactly.
I'm here to live my life authentically and unapologetically.
It's a powerful assertion of self-respect,
Mm-hmm.
a refusal to be burdened by the emotional baggage of others.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of having those difficult conversations about race and racism instead of just trying to sweep them under the rug.
This next quote is from Chris Jones,
Okay.
identified as the Raw Onion alumni.
Okay.
And it's another one that's sure to spark debate. White people love putting blackface on everything except Jesus.
Okay, that's a loaded statement. It's calling out the selective appreciation of Blackness,
Right.
where certain aspects are embraced while others are ignored or actively marginalized.
Right.
It's about cultural appropriation
Right.
and how Black culture is often commodified
Right.
and sanitized for mainstream consumption.
Right.
Makes you think about those power dynamics at play.
Right.
How they influence the ways in which Black culture is perceived and represented.
Right.
And it challenges us
Right.
to examine our own biases
Right.
and ask ourselves, are we truly allies? Or are we just picking and choosing the parts of Black culture that we find palatable?
Right. Are we willing to stand up for racial justice even when it's uncomfortable?
Right, exactly.
I think this next quote from Shar Bates really sums it up. I refuse to walk on eggshells around someone because they haven't explored enough within themselves
Oh, wow.
to piece together their insecurities.
Mic drop.
Right.
It's about setting those boundaries and refusing to be responsible for someone else's emotional baggage.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself doing that sometimes?
Oh, totally.
Trying to avoid conflict by tiptoeing around someone else's insecurities?
Yes, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's like you're constantly second-guessing yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to anticipate
Their reactions.
their reactions instead of just being yourself.
Right. And Rob is giving us permission to step back from that and say, you know what?
I'm not.
I'm not responsible for your emotional well-being.
Responsible.
You need to do your own work.
And last but not least, we have Lola Mitchell, a.k.a. Gangsta Boo.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry you're so concerned about what I eat. It makes no sense. It don't make you hiss.
Classic Gangsta Boo.
Right.
Love her. She's not holding back. It's a reminder that we don't have to justify our choices to anyone,
Right.
especially when it comes to our own bodies
Right.
and what we put into them.
It's about reclaiming your power and saying, you know what?
Yeah.
Mind your own business.
Mind your own business. Exactly. It's about owning your choices,
Right.
living your life on your own terms,
Right.
without needing anyone else's approval.
And I love how Rob wraps up the book. She doesn't back down. She encourages readers to embrace unapologetic honesty in their own lives. She even provides her contact information
Oh, wow.
for speaking engagement
That's great.
and interviews.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, I'm here, I'm not afraid, and I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah, it takes guts to put yourself out there like that,
Right.
especially with a concept that's bound to ruffle some feathers. But that's what makes this book so important.
Yeah, it's not your typical self-help book, right?
Right.
It's not about following a set of rules or trying to please everyone.
Right.
It's about something much, much deeper. It's about self-discovery and challenging those ingrained beliefs
Yeah.
that might be holding you back.
It's about giving yourself permission
Yeah.
to be your true, authentic self.
Right.
Even if it means making some people uncomfortable.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners? How can we apply these ideas of the unapologetic apology to our own lives. Have you ever felt like you had to apologize for something that wasn't really your fault?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Or maybe you apologized just to avoid conflict, even though you didn't really mean it?
For sure. I think we've all been there.
Right.
It's like we're conditioned to apologize,
Right.
especially as women, even for things that are out of our control.
Right.
But Rob's book, it encourages us to question that,
Right.
to ask ourselves, why am I apologizing?
Right.
Is it because I truly feel remorseful?
Mm.
Or is it because I'm afraid of the other person's reaction?
And if it's the latter,
Yeah.
maybe it's time to rethink that apology.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to stand up for ourselves and say, you know what? I'm not sorry. This is who I am. This is how I feel. And if you don't like it, that's okay.
It's not about being aggressive or confrontational.
Right.
It's about being assertive,
Right.
setting boundaries.
Yeah.
It's about respecting yourself enough to say, no, I'm not going to apologize for being me.
This book has really made me think about the power of language and how we use it to express ourselves or to silence ourselves.
Right.
It's made me realize that sometimes an apology can be a way of diminishing ourselves,
Yeah.
shrinking back from our own truth.
It's like we're saying, I'm sorry for taking up space. I'm sorry for having an opinion. I'm sorry for being different.
Right.
But Rob is telling us, you don't have to be sorry. You have a right to be here. You have a right to be seen. You have a right to be heard.
So if you're feeling stuck or if you're struggling to find your voice, maybe this idea of the unapologetic apology can be a tool for empowerment, a way to reclaim your power and start living a more authentic life.
It's definitely not a quick fix or a one-size-fits-all solution, but it's a starting point. It's a way to shift your perspective. Start thinking about how you can show up in the world more authentically and unapologetically.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this concept.
Yeah, there's so much.
There's so much to unpack. And I encourage you to pick up Rob's book.
Absolutely.
Explore it for yourself. But as you go about your day, think about those moments where you might be tempted to apologize.
Right.
And ask yourself, is this a genuine apology? Or is it a way of silencing myself?
That's a good question.
And if it's the latter, maybe it's time to embrace the unapologetic apology and start living a life that's true to you.
I think that's a great place to leave it. It's about self-reflection and about challenging those old patterns that no longer serve us.
Right.
It's about giving ourselves permission to be who we are unapologetically.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the unapologetic apology. It's been a real eye-opener. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep being unapologetically you.